Last week we talked about the workshops. So we've done pretty good discussion. Pretty good discussion. What is that? That is the best. Wasn't there a discussion about that? What am I missing here? Oh, these are the updated ones. If I search for workshop, okay, there's a lot of activity, discussions, I see. So iterative discussion. I will keep a link in the notes there. We shipped 171, but I believe we did that after the meeting. Four days ago. So after the meeting. So 171 was shipped. Removing extra warning. Fixing the HTTP support. Fixing the workflow page. Fixing the functional test for MySQL. And fixing the indexes for MySQL. Some of them. Because because 1.7.2 fix more MySQL indexes, because not all of them were fixed. So Mike and Janteri found a few more. Someone reported an issue actually by just enabling a feature. And the impact of that is that Mike and Janteri have been working on a PR here to fix them, and also to improve the functional test to enable all the features such that we won't miss one anymore, as long as the MySQL is running. So there should be a new recipe somewhere. I saw it. This one. That's why you see it was folded. So here, all the features, and just mentioning it here such that when we create a new feature, we should add it in this list for the functional test, at least to see if it's enabled correctly. It doesn't fail when I set up this recipe. And because
we should just find a way to find all features that have migration tied to them, and just include them.
It's a functional test. I don't really like magic in functional tests. It should be like, yeah, if I do that, this happens, this fails.
That makes
or
sense.
a unit test, I would be like, yeah, maybe like let's rate on every pool, and but for functional tests, it's, you get it right. It's like the kind of code that you will write in what you're describing is good, but it will not go in the thing that we manage with a functional test. And then the mismatch also is that the unit test is only run on SQLite. So this will just, and probably we already are doing that, maybe like testing the migrations, but with SQLite. And Yeah, but the functional tests, we run them on all databases, and we can't run the unit test on all databases. Too long, too hard to maintain. Here is just, yeah, let's think about it. In theory, every time we create a feature, we should have some kind of functional test to be sure that we are not regressing the feature. And if we don't do that, it's because time priorities. Like if someone creates a feature, we won't tell them, no, we are not taking your feature because there is no unit test, right, or functional test. Like there are people in the team here that always do some kind of testing, at least bare minimum. But we are not, we don't have that many contributors that we can say, no, we don't want your work because you didn't provide the test. Well, usually we ask, like, can you add a simple test, or can you add it to the feature test, to the functional test? Maybe. We just have to think about it. I will forget, but you won't. I even fixed a bug this morning. I saw it was not compiling because the PR was removing system, and it was still using string.empty. So I assume on the main branch, it was already using small string.empty. But on this branch, this change failed because we moved the change from main to this branch to the release branch. So yeah, so just I was explaining that something we didn't mention since last week is that how we fixed the indexes is by providing this new syntax in YesSQL. So when we create an index, referencing some columns that are defined in the schema of the table, we say create an index, and if this is a type that has variable length, or yeah, then we can constrain the size of this field in the index such that the size of the index value or record is never over 768 chars. Okay, that's the idea. So here we say this type here, this column content type in the schema has a max size of, let's say, 1K. I don't remember what is the size here. This one also, and this one also. So we don't want to be able to have 1K of data in the index for this field. We want to limit it to 54. And that's fine because either for 99% of the cases, it's always less than 254 chars, a content type, a part name, a field name. And even if it's bigger than that, we'll just truncate it. And in the index, there might be collisions between two values of indexes, but that's fine. Of collisions, it's just slower, but it's slower for the cases where we don't have a choice, which are never happening. So we'll see. And here, so I was surprised, like you were, when you saw that there was not a single column with a number here, even though we are creating index. It's because this is a finite value. Document ID is probably 26 or something, maybe. I don't know.
No, it's long. It's 2.
It's a long.
Only
it's a long.
Yep.
So 2. 2. Content item ID is 26. Content item ID is 26. This is 26. This is 1. This is 1. So 26, 26, 26, 1, 1, 2. It's below 728. So we usually only have to add these when it's a variable length string, right? And this was implemented, I think. You did everything right here, Mike. The support for that and changing the SQL and everything in YesSQL. I believe so.
Yes.
Let me check one thing, 1 minute, because I'm receiving a package and I want to know if they want me to or not. It will take me 1 second. They are going. Okay, thank you. So you did that. I click there. I clicked. I want to see the story. The fix. Why do I see only my face and Jean-Thierry?
That was a different issue that we fixed, or John Thierry fixed. It was for caching.
Oh, this one. Oh, I must have merged lots of. Oh, so that's interesting. So I must have merged lots of changes then. So this is your change. I think that's your third change on YesSQL, I believe. Because there are not that many contributors. Yep. Okay. And you made some new text, so that's great. So yeah, so we change YesSQL to do that, and we shipped 171 with that, and then it was not in main. So if you have main, you have also the same changes. And because of this change, so you found that we were missing some of them, and this will be available as part of the 172 release that we are about to ship because of that. As soon as Jean Thierry is coming back from work to work on Orchard during his second life, and then continue finalize the PR we have started, and we can merge it and release it. That.
Yes, he's working on it now. He just put a commit right now.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's great.
He's working. Yeah, if we merge that one, I'll just finish it and release that one for 7.2.
Okay. Then I saw there was a release already, a branch or PR already for 172 that should contain the administrative changes for shipping 172. Okay, updating all the readmes to say which one is the latest, create a new file for release notes for 172. So that's perfect. Concept code version, that, and it worked without changing the prefix property, so that's good. So that, yeah, that works. Usually when we create, that's the issue, because this file, otherwise you have to do it in two steps, because this file, well, you can still generate that.
We would have to first merge the PRs before we can generate that.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you don't have to do it right now, but the 172 PR, you can keep it open without the release notes inside. Then once everything is merged, you create a fake release. You can always say,
yeah, but we would have to have the PRs merged before we can.
Yes, the functional ones, yes, but not the release 172 one. So you can create something like that. Look at me. So sneak, okay, you don't care about it. Please, whatever, like 123, choose a time, you need to type. Publish, okay, and now you can generate the.
Well, if you have to first, you would have to change the target, but you're not going to get anything because we haven't merged anything since then.
Sure, but what I'm saying is that instead of, because you type already something, right? You don't have to type anything. Okay, so
yeah, that's wrong release info.
Oh, because I say target that, okay. Release.
Yeah, remove that text and then hit generate release.
Yeah, or
yes, select all and delete.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's the wrong release notes, and the ones that I put into that PR is actually the correct ones. Because with this release, we're only fixing one issue.
Yeah, but it's not yet merged. That's why it doesn't work correctly.
Right.
But...
yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, is that you can't do it until you merge the PRs. And I just created my own notes because that, it should be very similar to this.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that you don't have
to.
You just wait for it to be all merged, the PRs, and then use this tool to generate the release notes for your 172. And the 172 doesn't have to be in the release notes. You will see. Okay.
No, I actually follow you. I understand exactly.
Okay.
That's what I would usually do if the PRs were merged. But I was just trying to stay ahead and make sure we have all the documentation. That's why I kind of just did that manually, and because there's not much of them. There's only like one merge.
So I saw something else on MySQL. So what we merged not just your fix for the or your feature for the indexes, typo, offset unification, Boolean constants. This one matters because when I revert to this one because it was failing a unit test. So this one matters. And I'll show you why. Because of this one in Ultra Core. So someone found an issue early this year. And I did not read it correctly, or I didn't remember what it meant a week ago, but it's clear. So they are using the SQL query screen to type something like this. Select start from content type index, where content type like N and the Unicode char inside. Okay, and they're using N. And so what's happening is that we parse this SQL, and this SQL is database agnostic. It's following the standard SQL 92 or whatever. And then when we parse it, we generate the SQL for the database that Virtual is running on. So we generate it for SQL Server with double quotes, or for PostgreSQL with single quote, for MySQL with backticks, and so on. But this N here is specific to SQL Server. So you don't type that in this screen. You type something that doesn't have the N. The N is to mark a string as being Unicode or can contain Unicode strings, and also that, but only for SQL Server. So that's wrong to type it there, and that's normal that the parser doesn't understand the N here. So we don't have to change the parser in this branch for this issue. The user just has to remove that. That's it. So I close the issue. So this is the example here. That works. And that's the final query. That's SQL Server. Fine. But if you had N, yes, it doesn't work because that's not supported language. And that's what Lampersky was saying, actually. And I forgot that N prefixes and speaker string for SQL Server and not what we type. So that's the perfect answer. Yeah, so that's true. And then Richard was suggesting to change the SQL grammar, but no, we don't want to do that. And then after some discussion, so I was suggesting instead to fix the issue that we should generate the N when you generate SQL Server. But actually, I tried without the N generated, and it was working. So even if you have before 171, even if you had a string like this with a Unicode char inside, I tried with a poop emoji inside. It's working because it's generating without the N, but that's totally fine in SQL Server. You can put Unicode in there. What the N is saying is that this is a Unicode string that will be, or this is an N varchar string instead of a varchar string. Okay. And it will tell it to cast the string to N varchar or not by putting the N or not. And so this is typing the string that we are passing. So because YesSQL creates tables and columns with N varchar, so if we look at the SQL generated for the schema builder, it will generate N varchar columns. Then what we should do is when we generate queries with this tool, we should also generate SQL that assume that this column is N varchar. So we should say this string is an N varchar string. Otherwise, SQL Server will have to do some conversion from this one to varchar or this one to N varchar. I don't know which one it would do, but it's better to tell it this is an n-varchar string to compare. So the version that we have now in YesSQL will generate this n also. But it has nothing to do with fixing the issue. Fixing the issue is about moving the n in the source query. What YesSQL is doing now that we know about this issue is that we are generating an n automatically in the generated SQL server, SQL. So the perf improvements or impacts are explained by Marco here in this issue. And what actually is showing is that it should be faster now with the new generated SQL. Hopefully, it can be slower. I pointed there. So this is how YesSQL generates a database. So if you have a string, it will generate an n-varchar. Or like this, or like this. If it's ANSI string in the database, but you never get the case, it's a string n-varchar. If it has a special length, it will still be n-varchar with a length. Okay. How do we get ANSI string in C#? You would have to provide it directly because we don't have any mapping between a C# type to an ANSI string. So I'm not even sure we can get into the case where, unless we have an override in YesSQL to pass a DB type, if you just use .NET type like we do, then we can't have an ANSI string. Interesting. Okay, so this is also a significant change. I was afraid it would break anything, but all the tests were passing, all the function tests were passing, so I was more confident after. But that's it. Going back to nodes 172 will be done. Option 1, no news. We didn't have a triage last week because I had 2 meetings at the same time. But I checked before and on Thursday it's on. So if I go there and I will filter, so I describe a feature in talk, I can filter and all the branches I actually want to see. That's perfect. So I can just say main, but I could also say I want to see series 17 and I will see only the 2 of them. That's great. I like it. I can even say a prefix. Oh, that's even better. That's beautiful. Love it. Okay, so what do we have since 10th of October? We saw that. So jQuery, we didn't see that. So jQuery merged on main. We merged the changes made to improve memory consumption between restarts, shell restarts. So if you have lots of tenants, that should help you with your memory by a lot. There were some reference routes that would prevent some objects from being garbage collected between restarts. So that's great. Update .NET Core, which shipped last week. OpenIddict updates, fix an exception in ListPart with header. It's missing an await. No, it was not missing an await. But maybe it should be awaiting if we have the async one. Interesting. Sync over async, probably that
we were passing a no value to a view, and we were using that no value. Can fix that.
How is this being related to null value?
Scroll down.
Oh, there is more down. Sorry, I guess. Okay. There are more ifs now.
Yep.
Good. Fix workflow module. This is the release branch. So I will remove that. Fix holes, filter. Okay, you are checking the permission now.
Yes, doing permission check, and also when we filter, if you create the role with a space and you select it, now we also make it with a double quote. Otherwise, the search won't return anything.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, the space inside. Why we could even double quote everything all the time, right? But yeah, it's just then you don't, for the common cases, you don't bother people with double quotes. So.
Right.
Is it only spacing? There are other.
Yeah, because the search, well, the search, you know, if you don't put double quote, it's gonna take every word and search for it. If you put the double quote, it's gonna take the whole phrase and find an exact match.
What I mean is, if there are use of char that you can have in a role, like space, that will also break the search. Example, column or quotes. Like, can you have a quote inside a role name? I wonder what we allow in role names, because we allow spaces apparently. Be interesting. Can it be a security issue that you create a role name with stuff that could be passed in a search and that would break the search or search for something else? I don't know. But that's that. That's good. Docs tabs, enable tabs. Get store documentation. So it looks like there is updates. So should we look at the docs, Antoine? Is there any new things here?
Just the links in the footer to go to the previous page and next page.
Oh,
And maybe on the guides. Yeah.
everywhere. It works everywhere. Yeah, so create a modular. So when you look at the guides, you are at the bottom, you say next. It's clicking. Oh, that's right. Looks nice. That's I love this navigation theme. Beautiful. It's great. Yeah.
And then I re-enabled the tabs when you have multiple languages like
Razor stuff. So where
or Liquid. If you type admin branding in the search.
Already, this search is much more advanced than it used to be. I typed admin and I have even code and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it's working again. Great. Awesome. Thank you. Azure.Identity 1.2 update taxonomy shield. So default value is nothing, so people know what it can be.
Yep, because now or before we would select the first one by default.
Okay.
And then it's like, okay, what do I do? You know, so
Yeah.
now you can
Okay.
tell you explicitly select one.
Introduce new navbar. Or is it a navbar?
This is actually it's worth talking about because
Okay.
like so people can know. So we had in the admin theme, we had multiple shapes being injected in the navbar space. We had a zone that was called, I believe, navbar top. We were injecting the user menu, and then we were injecting a shape for the link. So we were creating 3 shapes all in the admin theme. And to make the matter worse, like when it comes to localization, we would ask whoever managing the theme, after enabling a feature, to add the admin culture picker shape directly into their theme for that to work. So instead, we now have a navbar shape that is composed from the admin theme or the theme or your own theme. And then that allow you to utilize drivers to be able to add line items inside that navbar shape. So that makes things more dynamic for us. So like if we're injecting a theme toggler, we can do that by the driver. If we're injecting a site, a link to visit the front page, we can inject that by a driver. If you want anything else, like the culture picker, you can also utilize the driver to inject it when the module or when the feature is enabled. So it makes things a little bit more dynamic and cleaner.
Okay. So if you want to change the logo on the top left to link to a different tab.
No, this is the nav bar. So that's the menu on the right side.
Okay, the menu on the right side. Oh, the top right one.
Yep.
Okay.
Where we put on the admin, where we allow you to like click on that link to go to the front end, or to click on the toggler to change your theme, or like all these menu items, or the notification, or changing your language.
And I see that now you're an expert with display drivers and how to compose shapes and how to create shapes and everything. Beautiful.
I mean, it's even, I think for performance is better, because instead of having to reevaluate the filters, all the filters on every request, now you only evaluate what's needed. So I think there's also performance gain. Maybe not much, but some.
But it's so fast you won't see the difference, but there is at scale.
Right.
Can't reload string config provider, someone file an issue, eventually fixed it. Update YesSQL 3.4. This is with the new ends in the generated SQL Server. So if you are using SQL Server and upgrading to 1.7.1, then just check for like failing stuff. Mistakes happen. No reference exception fix. This is some index limits, but that's probably the merge from. That's what the merge from is 1.7.1. So these are duplicate. It's probably time to fix. Using that bar thing. Share view. Same thing. Bit bad HTML. I might switch. It's better. Release 1.7.1 commit that contains code changes. It's MySQL function tests. Yeah, I use MySQL because I could not create MariaDB anymore. The container will not start, so I use MySQL and it worked. That's fixed the functional test. And I also removed this update certificate, whatever, so it makes things faster. This was an old NuGet bug from like 3 or 4 years ago. We don't need it anymore. Purge, all the release notes. And then more changes, new contributor, Gary. Voilà, c'est Gary. Gary Crowley, ça I will say Gary. GraphQL docs, update, fixing that, okay. That's weird URL. Fix message class name. That's some advanced C# here. Okay, switch information at info error. Otherwise, I apply. That works. Because before it was just alert dash type. But because Bootstrap changed, I should. Now it's.
Well, it's because we no longer compile C#, so it wasn't as easy as extending message dash information with
okay.
alert.
Oh, that was okay.
Dash
okay.
and
So,
yep.
I see. We had customized. Update release notes. JS cookie does not need to depend on jQuery. Okay. Interesting. If you had asked me, I would have said that it requires it, but maybe it's not anymore. Localize plugin, national update, and node update. Centrally defined media resources. SPNOM media. So there is a new media thing.
What he did, he just basically took that media files and just made it available.
Resource.
So anybody wants to inject it, yep, in a resource. Can't wait to submit a PR to remove all these jQuery dependencies. Well, someone else will do it. I don't want to do it.
Try to understand. But technically, that's the impact of that. Resource management options. So this is, I love, so this is copy pasting the pattern we made, right? This is a static initialization. This way you can reuse the same manifest across tenants, initialized ones. So script, style media, script media, and it says media.js, Vue.js, and 100. Media. So this is for the media page, media feature. Okay. But then that thing. Okay, content fields depends on media, so it can inject. Yes. Or HTML field model. I see. It's a pop-up, so it needs its own reference to scripts. Okay, media. I like it. What do we have to find? Oh, content field and this one. That's weird. Maybe they both needs to be able to pop up. Okay. Same issue.
Well, one of them is the JavaScript and the other one is the style.
No, what I mean is
CSS.
one. No, I mean 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The files here.
Oh, well, yeah, because we're using that media for a few other
yeah,
things,
that's
for the field.
totally okay. I don't. Yeah. Copy paste. That's good. Now, transient. Okay. Yes. And same thing here. Media. Okay, beautiful. Good job. Who's that? Is already in the contributor? Okay. RTL. Wow. RTL is fixed.
Yeah, so we had some issues with RTL. Unfortunately, it wasn't caught on earlier. So we fixed them, improved it, and again, we encourage everyone to utilize the master or the main branch and report any issues, especially with RTL. We don't use RTL, so.
I'm not a fan of these helper methods like this.
Yeah, this whole class, it's the same, under the same. I think it just makes it easier so we don't have to include bunch of usings in the themes when we use those. So that's why there's 3 methods in this class, which, because Hisham also said, why don't you just use the RTL? But, you know, we don't want to keep adding usings and usings. So that's
okay. If this is for using, that's fine, because that will be system.globalization.cultureinfo.current. Okay. This is fine.
Yeah,
that's the goal of that thing. Okay.
Yeah, you'll potentially end up using a bunch of usings if you don't use this extension. Since we already have a class with those extensions, it just made sense to use the same exact thing.
Fine. At least there is no magic. Yeah, that's great. That we still support right left. Bottom, beautiful strap. Fixing the theme will introduce accessibility rules, violation, freeze, jam. Okay, accessibility, bold button. Dude, if you start looking at accessibility, that's great. But it will take years. If you want to look at accessibility, I think we have an issue for that. There are tools like where are my tools? Extensions. Accessibility insights for web. This is a Microsoft plugin. And I will go with the telemetry. And then tell you everything has to change on the page. So you go over the admin and each feature, and then you go over pages and you look at what they say, and you say, okay, no, this is not a good color because not enough contrast, or you're missing this property on this image tag, or whatever. So that would be great to have a pass like this. You see, it shows you exactly what's the issue here. This is not our side.
So I heard that you guys at Microsoft have a workflow or pipeline that actually does a testing to ensure that all the sites that are publicly facing are accessible. Is that something we can probably implement in Orchard so we can have, like something that can tell us where the errors are, and we have a PR that checks for that and tests for that, and then we can fix it?
I don't know what you mean by this workflow, but the only tool I know about is this one. And it's probably also existing as a server-side thing or a reusable thing that you can run on a build without a website. But I'd say if it's in a website, that's already good to do a first pass. Maybe Playwright has a plugin for that. Playwright is like what's the name of the tool that starts with an S? That's this tool, UI testing. What are we using? What is Lombiq using? What's the thing that Lombiq is using for the UI testing?
I don't know.
Selenium, maybe.
Selenium. Thank you. Yeah. So Playwright is like Selenium. So it lets you automate detecting issues, clicking on things. So maybe there is a plugin for Playwright that also has the same extension here. So yeah, and I open a .NET site and I open the tool here. And yes, there is no issue on this page at least. Yeah. So yeah, that's why they take care of it. So ideally, yes, Mike, it should be automated. Like we should detect regressions. But to detect a regression, we should first be in a good state. But if we can do it on a few pages at least, and know we are in a good state, and then introduce this non-regression rule on the PRs, that would be great. This way, it would be easy to keep up to date with, or yeah, right? Like every PR, we can say, oh, you missed this time, just fix it, so we don't accumulate a lot of work. So the tool is named Accessibility Insights for Web. There might be other things, so just let me know offline if you know some names or some more details. I can check. But for me, there is that. That's the thing we should at least run on the website to see if there are issues. And then I'm sure there are ways to automate it. Definitely. We don't want to.
What is that tool again called? Accessibility what?
Accessibility Insights for Web. This is a browser extension. I'm sharing the link in the chat.
Thanks.
Yeah, so accessibility rules. It's very important. Like there are lots of sites like in Europe, you can't, probably also in the States, you can't have sites that are not accessible, like government sites. You can't ship one that is not accessible or has a level of accessibility that this tool can check. So that's very important. Okay, now it's probably done. Yannick, sure. Awesome job, everyone. And this week we'll release a 172. Any demos or topics? Azure Communication Services. I didn't know about. Is that a thing? I didn't know about that. There's so many services in Azure. So you can send emails with that. SMS. SMTP. So where is SMTP? Maybe. Endpoint and token. Yeah, we could have features like this that helps authentication on Azure services. But in this case, if it's SMTP, that should be a different feature, like Azure Communication Services feature that will authenticate and correctly using whatever secrets, other secrets that you can provide, or Azure Managed Identity. So
I mean, I think all he has to do is just replace the ISMTP service with a new implementation.
So what's possible also is that they have an SMTP endpoint that is protected and that you can provide like a standard SMTP client, but you would have in the username password to provide this information. And that could be a custom feature that will negotiate this data from a managed identity from Azure to a standard SMTP implementation. But in this case, let's just make an Azure communication service feature. So I didn't know about that. Oh, email. I see. There is email here. Yeah, so probably because there is SMTP protocol support, then you need to authenticate using custom Azure creds. So you need a feature to negotiate, to exchange the secrets, and then put it in the SMTP connection with a token as a password. And this you will understand. That's common. I don't really understand the relationship with this comment and the question, but yeah, I would say personally that if we could have articles, blog posts explaining that from different people showing how they did that, that would be great to showcase and also to let people know that you can do it or give IDs. And like I have a friend who told me, hey, did you know that this website is in Orchard? I'm like, yes. And it was a website from HPlay. They do all their sites like this. So yeah, more blog post articles. Or there is an Umbraco article in this site for it. So that's interesting. Wow. So I know this. Antoine, you will know why I know. Do you know Zach Lederman, Antoine?
No, I don't.
So he's the author of Eleventy. Do you know
Okay.
Eleventy?
Yeah.
Eleventy is a static website generator in JavaScript. And they also use Liquid. It's a very famous static site generator, very simple to use. And because it's a static site generator, I assume he has to create connections to Headless CMSs. And he added the article for Umbraco. That's interesting. 3 years ago. We should have him add an article for Orchard. But no, 3 years ago. He doesn't care about Orchard. But that's interesting to see that it was created by him. Oh, Eleventy is here. That's the Jamstack. Okay, Jamstack is a website that shows all the tools, libraries you can use to build static sites and with JavaScript. And yeah, so probably made with Eleventy.
Yeah.
I love Eleventy. Yeah, okay, good discussion. We'll see.
Yeah,
Other comments?
because you haven't tried Astro. You would
Astro?
like Astro also, yeah.
What is Astro?
Astro.build.
Why you mention that? Is it good?
Because
or...
that's the one I am using, and I even switched from Orchard Core to Astro for my website, for my personal website.
Good to know. Want to check. What does it mean? Real world performance comparison. 9868. Real world performance data. Okay. P90. It's working. Good. Okay. And you think it's better than 11T? Not comparing to Oxford, but in terms of static site generation?
Yeah, because you can easily extend it and use React, any kind of front-end framework like React, Svelte, Vue. There are this kind of integrations, and yeah.
They have lots of people.
For the box, yes, because it's localized and there are a lot of contributors.
Maybe I know why, but I forgot. Yeah, because I looked at some point 11T and everyone else, and yeah, interesting. Even Microsoft is using it, so let's be good, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is always someone at Microsoft that is using any tool on the web, so they can always say Microsoft. But I'm pretty sure they are not allowed to say Microsoft is using it, or they didn't ask for permission, or whatever company they are. Good. Okay. Thanks, Antoine. Thanks, everyone. See you on Thursday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.